Hello and welcome to IBM Bi-Weekly, a podcast focused on the technical aspects of the IBM I operating system and the community revolving around it. My name is Josh, and with me is co-host Liam. Today is the 26th of February 2019, and we have episode 1 introductions in store for you. Before we jump into the main topic, since this is the first episode of IBM Bi-Weekly, Liam and myself will be introducing ourselves, and we'll be discussing the point of IBM Bi-Weekly and the podcast format itself. Speaking of the format, I'll quickly discuss that before going in. Normally, we would start with an introduction, discuss any news that might have happened since the last podcast. We would then discuss the main topic, and then we would end the podcast. Today, we're going to switch that up a little bit since it's, like I said, the first iteration of the podcast. We will be discussing the podcast itself. That's the main topic. Then we'll be going into some news, and then we'll be ending the podcast. So before we jump into anything else, I guess we can start with introductions. Liam, would you like to introduce yourself to the people?
Of course. Hello, my name is Liam Allan. I am a software developer and mostly focusing in the I space, funnily enough. And I'm basically a consultant. I do lots of Node.js at the moment and lots of kind of Git and DevOps type stuff with RPG and Cobol. It's kind of fun. And you can find me on Twitter. It's D__Barry. And that's where I'm at.
All right.
And I suppose Josh should do the same.
Yeah, thanks. So my name is Joshua Hall, full name, but most people just call me Josh. You could just call me an open source consultant on the IBM I platform. I just help people either install, run, maintain, or develop open source projects on their IBM I systems. And you can find me on Twitter as well at tweetjbh. Some people will jab at me about that, but it was meant to be an action. So you can tweet me on Twitter if you like. So now that we've introduced ourselves, I think we can go over the podcast a little bit. Liam, so you're the one, this was kind of the podcast is your brainchild. You had discussed it with me over Slack just a tad before we went to the Think conference. But then we really got to discuss it there and kind of decided that it seemed to have a lot of value. So would you like to maybe tell us what inspired you to want to do this podcast?
Yeah. So, I mean, we have podcasts. We have an interview type podcast, which we both know about. And I wanted something that was maybe a slightly bit more technical than what is offered at the moment. And I think Josh and I were kind of lucky enough to be at the forefront of open source on IBM I, and I think we may as well help expose what we know through the means of some form of media, and that being a podcast. I think this is the perfect opportunity to offer that. So that's what I wanted from it, is to help others learn about what's going on in a nice, easy way.
And would you say not only a bit furthermore on the sharing our knowledge, not only our knowledge, but we'll be able to share the community's knowledge by introducing guests on shows occasionally. It won't be every show, but I think we do plan on having a guest that is relevant to the main topic.
It has a hot topic. Yeah, exactly. And I think, if we can occasionally get guests on to help us talk about, a specific topic,
right,
that we'll talk about more later, then I think that's good for everyone. It's good for us. It's good for the listener.
An example, right, of one that we're pretty sure we'll have in the future is like Scott Forsty for DB2. Yeah, would you say? Right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping, like, for taking that as an example, that we can. Something that I want to ask him, for example, is where the idea for the IBM I services came from. Like, like where the actual idea came from. I think we're one of the only operating systems that do that. Well, IBM I is one of the only OSs that actually
offer that
has that functionality.
Right.
Right. And I would love to know more about that and the technical challenges behind it. So
right. So
like that's a good example.
So with that, I think the podcast, we're going to be releasing it bi-weekly every 2 weeks. It's going to be formatted, as I said, an introduction will lead into some news if there is any to discuss. And then we'll have a main topic that may or may not have a guest. So every week there will be an introduction and main topic to every podcast, and there may or may not be a news and guest on the podcast as well. So, and I think we're aiming to keep it around 30 minutes to 45 minutes, just to give everyone a heads up. We hope to never go over 45 minutes. We know everyone on the IBMI ecosystem has very valuable time. So,
unless they're very special occasions,
right? Oh,
very,
yeah,
very
yeah. What kind of special occasions are you talking about there, Liam? You want to tease a little bit?
So you know, Josh and I, we both speak at conferences, and I feel as if conferences are a great time to gauge with people and sit down and actually talk to them if they have the time, and that may also be a perfect time to get them on the podcast. I'm hoping for, or for example, at a conference where there's lots of people going, we might be able to do a slightly longer podcast. We can have multiple kind of topics on one episode. And that would be a very special, episode for us.
Right. We haven't solidified anything yet. There's been a few ideas tossed on the table, like maybe some conferences we may try doing a series of episodes for the conference, and having like multiple guests from the conference come in on each episode. There's a few ideas we've had, but every time we do it, the format will always be a discussion with the expert helping guide us and answer questions from us and the community.
Mostly focused around the topic that we'll be looking at. We want to keep it mostly orientated around a specific topic is the plan, and we don't want to digest or digress onto different things in one episode. Hopefully.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're gonna try to be relaxed and loose, and of course this is going to evolve over time. This is both of our first podcast, and it's a work in progress. The format may change a little bit. For example, today we've switched it around, and the news portion is probably going to be much longer than the main topic, but that's just because of today's situation. So is there anything else with the podcast, Liam, before? Because we're going to do more teasing later, but is there anything about what it's centered around and the format?
While we will be doing existing topics, there will be, we'll talk about news, but I think something that we can talk about is what's coming in the future too, not just predictions, but I'd love to help people know what to do with the future.
Right. So talk about RFEs, requested enhancements, feature enhancements on the platform and stuff like that. Right. We'll be trying to cover the roadmap of the operating system as much as possible.
Exactly.
And another thing I was wanting to bring up was the community around the IBMI is something that's going to influence this podcast a lot. At least that's our hope. We really are wanting criticism and constructive criticism and feedback in order to drive the topics, because we actually have a lot of topics in mind already, but it would be wonderful to have the community guide us about what is more popular, what they would like to prioritize, what they would like to hear about, maybe even guests they would like to hear from.
And I think that's exactly why we shared handles at the beginning.
Right. Yes, please tweet at us.
Tweet me. My DMs are open, get in contact.
And we
please, like, the more we know what you want, the more we know what we can
And
talk
that's a
about.
good transition into the describing the podcast's content stack, our social platforms, because you can, of course, directly tweet at us. We don't mind that at all. But we also already have social um, uh, profiles for the podcast.
Yep.
So
We have handles. We have
right,
handles.
the website. Right now, you can go to IBMiweekly.com. That's IBMiweekly.com for now. We haven't officially decided on a domain yet, so we'll probably be updating that soon, especially to match uh, the
name
name
of
of
the
the
podcast.
podcast. But that's what we have currently. So just IBMiweekly.com, one word. And then we have a Facebook. It's just
Yep.
IBM
Facebook,
Bi-Weekly.com.
facebook.com,
Or sorry.
facebook.com/IBM, IBM Bi-Weekly.com. Same as the podcast name, all one
Well,
word.
without the .com at the end there. I did the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Yep.
just the Facebook page is IBM Bi-Weekly. And the same thing with Twitter is just IBM Bi-Weekly. So it is the name of the podcast for those two. We'll have, by the way, we'll be posting a tag along blog post along with each of these podcasts. So you'll be able to find all the links to these social networks in our post that goes along with this.
Yep. And we'll also be on video form. So if you're not watching through one of our audio podcasts, you can actually watch us as we give the podcast on YouTube.
Right. We do have a YouTube. Yep.
Yep. And again, if we've just rambled on about links, you can actually just go to the website, IBMiweekly.com, and all the links will be on there consolidated in one place for you.
Correct. And I mean, if all else fails, all of our social networks are the name of the podcast, except for our domain name.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think that does it for the social platforms for now. We would love for y'all to get involved there. In fact, not to sound too needy, but we need, I think, at least 100 YouTube subscribers before we can set the name of the channel. So please go ahead and get subscribed there.
I think that's all the social medias that we plan on. And actually, saying that with the way that we're distributing the podcast, it might be useful to say what platforms in terms of podcast will be on.
Oh, right. So we're definitely going to be listed. Do you want to name those off, or?
I'll name the two that I know we're on, which I know one of them is Spotify and I know one of them is Google Play.
Right. And we'll be on Apple Podcasts.
Right.
And
they're the only ones that I know.
Yeah, and Stitcher and hopefully Alexa. And of course, we'll have a good old RSS feed as always.
Alexa, play IBM Bi-Weekly, please.
Yeah, exactly. You can keep up with us through Alexa.
Yep.
We'll be coming to Watson very soon as well.
Yep. We're coming to Watson.
All right.
IBM would love us.
So we can move on to what's up next, Liam.
So I think we could talk about what we're going to do. Hopefully, some future topics that we would like to.
Oh, you want to do some teasers?
Yeah,
I like it.
I think as an introduction, this is a good way to get people hooked in what we have planned.
Right, and our description of the podcast is decent, but some future episodes might help to understand how technical we plan on getting.
So, would you want to start with your favorite topics, Josh, that we might be doing?
Sure. I'm really happy about covering 5733 OPS and what it meant when it came along. I'd like to have someone on that's very close to the open source community on IBM to discuss how it evolved into Yum and where we're at today and the future of the platform. And I think also kind of playing along with that, because if I'm not mistaken, Yum was an RFE at a time. I like that we're going to be talking about RFEs, requested feature enhancements. because that's also, I mean, it's not necessarily unique to the IBMI. Every platform you can request enhancements, but the handling and the system that IBM uses for RFEs, I feel like it's pretty unique and I like a lot. So that'll be an exciting one, I think, for us to talk about. What about you?
Yeah. For me, I have three kind of topics that I cannot wait to talk about. My biggest favorite is mono, and I really cannot wait to. I'm really hoping we can get the person on for that. I really, really hope we can manage it. And Node.js, of course, one of my favorite topics. And I'm sure that we'll. I think DB2 for I think we have already planned and got plans for that, as we mentioned earlier at the start of the podcast too. Those are my three favorite topics. Like, there's so much we could talk about just between those topics itself. And,
oh yeah, we could get super deep in all of these. That's what's I love about
right.
this.
It's going to be fun. Like especially the mono one, like there, because that had nothing to do with IBM in the first place.
Right. Of course.
So it's going to be super nice to openly talk about how it was implemented, and it's going to be really fun. And it's all open source to make it. That's the best part.
Yeah.
And the changes
Right.
for it upstream, then I go on for
Right.
a while.
I think that's
anyway.
something, now that you mention it, I think that's something to bring up. For the most part, other than IBM products like DB2 and IBM I, I'm pretty sure the plan is that we will not be covering any sort of proprietary or vendor products on this podcast. It will all be open
Correct.
source.
Yes.
Right.
And when we say PHP,
let's just don't worry about that.
Okay, let's move on.
We'll just be covering PHP, I think, is what Liam's
just
saying.
PHP, yeah.
And
then we'll also get we have plans to also talk about some front end stuff too,
right,
which is not very tied to IBM I right now, but I would like for that to change in the future. I would love to see more. I think Josh feels the same way. I would love to see use of more front end frameworks like Vue,
well,
React.
I think that's another goal of the podcast, is while it is mainly around the IBM I platform and the ecosphere around it, I think that Liam and I we're not trying to lock ourselves to that entirely. We will be trying to broaden the community's knowledge. I feel like that's
right. Exactly.
We want to open up doors. We don't want to necessarily tie to everything to a specific system. So, but we will still, during the talks, we will still try to tie it back to the IBMI as well as we can. For example, if we talk about the front end frameworks, we'll try to show examples or discuss examples using like the DB2 services for I or something.
Right. So a good example of this is, for example, we're going to talk about Node.js, but it will mostly, for the most part, it will be about running Node on I and what tools are available and for development,
right?
Especially, talking to the database, interacting with existing software that you have running, things like that. That's the plan, is to keep it tied.
Yeah. We'll tie it some way into the IBMI, but we're wanting to be able to discuss broader topics because, like we said, we want to open up the IBMI community to what's going on out there, because there's a lot going on in the open source community, really.
There is, and it's fantastic.
I think with that, I think we've teased enough with the future episodes. We actually have a lot more. That was kind of just, we skimmed off the top ones we liked.
It was brief.
But we would love, like we said, please tweet at us, and especially the IBM Bi-Weekly Twitter. Please tweet at that your ideas. And with that, I think we can move on to what we would kind of call the news section. But it's news-ish, I guess. We don't have much news to cover other than conference teasers for what Liam and I will be going to this year. We have some news ideas coming up, but other than that, I think we're just going to be covering conferences for this section, right, Liam?
And I think that's fine. There may have only been one large announcement from IBM in the last in 2019, and I think it's something that we'll save when we have more examples of it.
Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, we could pick almost anything. Like Yum was released, or something. Like there's a ton of
right.
news we could do, but I think we're going to try to be a bit more organized and pick something more recent.
Right.
So for now, we're just
And
going to cover the conferences.
And I think that's a good idea because I think while we're trying to keep it, this a reasonably timed episode, we have a lot to say about conferences at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to take up, I think, the rest of the time pretty easily.
Yeah. So, I'll go ahead and start here.
Yes, please do.
We Josh and I both went to Think, IBM Think, February. I don't remember the dates, but it was in February. It was about, the dates were the 11th to the 15th.
Right, and we were there from the 10th to the 16th.
Correct. We were in San Francisco, Josh and I, and we went to IBM Think down at the Moscone Center, downtown San Francisco, and we both did talks. Josh did 2, and I did 3 plus a roundtable. So we were both fairly busy, and we met with IBMers and non-IBMers, and I had a rather productive week. And as on a professional level, I think I said this to Josh, it was probably one of the best weeks of my life. Made lots of friends, made lots of professional connections, which is obviously great for me. And I guess you feel the same way, Josh. Like how was it for you?
Oh, definitely. I'm more of an introvert, so it was a bit overwhelming. It's the largest conference I've ever been to.
Yeah, same.
It was
20,000 people or so.
Yeah, overwhelming is an understatement. But it was still, I would say, the best time I've had at a conference so far. In terms of fun and enjoying the time.
This was also the when we it was a Tuesday night and we were at dinner is when we started talking about the podcast, actually. So thank God that happened.
Yeah, this was actually Overthink was when this was born, correct?
Yeah, good times. Good times. And here we are 2 weeks later talking about recording an episode, which is nuts.
Yeah, we really, that was a quick turnaround now that you mention it.
It was. I mean, we don't waste, Josh, you and I, we don't waste time.
We do not. We do not. That's why we're the advocates.
Okay, so that was Think. It was good. We both had a good time, and we have more than enough conferences coming up. So, Josh, I think for you next, WMCPA.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's sneaking up on me. That's over in Wisconsin, in this small town, resort town near Milwaukee. It's going to be my first time going. It seems really, I hear really good things. So I'm excited to attend, and especially as a speaker. I'm going to be giving 3 talks there. What was that?
I was going to ask how many sessions you're
doing. Yeah, I'm giving 3 sessions. I will be doing the Let's Get This Open Source Software talk. I'll be doing Pace at a Good Pace, which is about pace. And the Let's Get This Open Source Software is about getting open source software. It's centered around Yum. And Pace is at a Good Pace is centered around pace, obviously, and sort of how to utilize it and what it really means to use pace, because it's a different ecosystem. And then I'm also giving a talk entitled I Can Node Even. It's about how the IBM I can run Node even. So it'll be fun. And
I definitely am going to be coming to you for more pun titles.
Yeah, I try my best. It's I'm excited about that talk because I like advocating for Node and stuff. So that's the 3 cool. I'll be giving there. You have, I guess when we release this, you'll have 2 or 3 weeks to get your tickets if you want to go see me speak at WMCPA.
Okay. Yeah. I'll keep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
That's
then
exciting
you'll
then.
be going, I think, right? Is it during the same days? It's at least very near. You'll be at the
What day?
summit and
What day?
CIO summit, right?
It's very close. I think they are after WMCPA. It's the week after. I
Oh,
think.
I forgot. I'm sorry.
It's
I
the
forgot to
week
mention
after.
WMCPA is March 12th through the
Oh,
15th,
yeah. Okay.
or 12th through the 14th or something.
So I think a week and a half later from that,
Okay.
or maybe two, is the CIO Summit, which is on the 25th of March, and then the RPG and DB2 Summit, which is on the 26th to the 28th. The CIO Summit is something that Allan Seiden hosts, Seiden Group, and it's invite only event, free. Where CIOs, it's all discussion. They can talk about hot topics in the I. So, for example, a hot topic, last year, 2018, was how to bring on young developers, and it apparently is still a hot topic this year. And I spoke about that last year. And it's a good place for high level CIOs to come in and talk about what the future is and how they can make use of the platform, helping their developers out, things like that. And it's really great.
How valuable would you say that is? I mean, you already just said that the only expenses for it would be travel, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, travel and with that being said, those that are invited do get 1 free day at the RPG and DB2 Summit,
Wow. See, I mean,
which so the value is
yeah,
it's
it
totally
sounds
worth
like the return on investment on that's pretty high. Yeah.
it. That wasn't an advertisement.
No,
I
no, I
do
was.
go there.
That's just
I
genuinely
do.
just being
I
genuine.
do also think that it's fantastic. It's really helped me at least. So, and then on the 26th, the day after, to the 28th, is the RPG and DB2 Summit. I have 5 sessions there. I'll cover it briefly. I'm doing a DevOps session, which is very high level for talking about things like Jenkins and continuous integration and deployment using Git, things like that. And then I have a session on IO editor, and then I have a new session which is about actually migrating RPG and COBOL into source control like Git, and then eventually adding continuous integration and deployment on top of it. But it's brand new. I can't wait to give it.
Oh wow.
I'm also doing a Yum session, which from the sounds of it, Josh would usually do, and I'm happy to do a Yum session because it's amazing anyway. And yeah, of course. And I'm doing a session called RPG, extending RPG with DB2 for I functions. It's my longest running session. It's also my most popular session. So I'm hoping that migrating to Git can change that. And that's it. My 5. It's going to be a busy week. I don't usually do 5 sessions. They usually give me 4. So I'm happy to be doing one more as well. It's always exciting. And then following on from Summit, Josh and I will both be at Power Up 19, previously known as Common, and now hosted by the Common user group. It's going to be in, where is it?
Anaheim,
It's in
California.
Anaheim, California. Anaheim, right?
And it's
Disneyland,
May 18th through the 22nd.
right? Josh and I will both be at that. We both. Josh has 5 sessions, right?
Right. Yeah. Good call. You knew before I did.
Right, and I have 4.
Well, I have the
which is
5 plus a power panel too. Yeah.
Oh, okay, excellent. Yeah, I have 4, and that's fine with me. I have 1 a day, which is great.
So what
And I
are
think we're
what
both
are
doing.
your power topics? What do you want to be given there?
Oh God, I don't actually have the list up. I
Well,
know I'm
you
doing
can
the.
get it up, and I can talk about what I'm given while you're getting yours up.
Yeah. You go first.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
So
good idea.
I'm really excited to be going to Power Up 2019 and speak. I think this might be the first Power I've spoken at. I might be
No,
no.
you did.
Oh, right. I was like a
Yeah.
guest speaker. I think this is one of the first that I'm at actually like a real speaker instead of like I think I co-spoke at all the other ones. Anyway, so I'll be covering RPMs, Yum, and containers, the future of open source packages. So it's a pretty self-explanatory title. I'll be going over how to use Yum and containers like to root containers. I don't want to get too specific, but I'll be covering that and how to use them on your IBM I platform. I'll be covering cool open source stuff you can do on IBM I. That was these two were not my first choice of titles, but I was forced to change them. So it's on that one. That discussion will be about sort of my transition from the Linux world to the IBM I world, and my discovery of how you can run what I was used to running on the IBM I. So I think that's going to be a fun talk. And then one of my puns did slip through the cracks. They did allow me to have Python and DB2 say their I do's. I guess that's not a pun. It's just a fun rhyme. But
it's a pun.
Yeah. I guess it's playful.
Play on words. Yeah,
that'll be as it sounds. It's just going to be a talk geared more toward utilizing DB2 in Python. So if you don't know Python, you're welcome to come, but I probably won't be covering like starter stuff. I'll just be covering how to use DB2 in Python. Then I'll be covering pace at a good pace again. So if you missed WMCPA, you can come there and see it there. And then the wonderful one that Jesse wanted me to do, Jesse Gorzinski, is Jenkins on IBM I. So if you've been wondering how to get continuous integration running through your IBM I, and for those that like to have everything centralized, then this would be a talk for you.
Thank you.
And then really quickly, I'll mention I will be on the open source power panel. Mike Pavlak will be moderating that, and there'll be some great people on the panel: Allan Side and myself, Michael Dawson, Jesse Gorzinski, and Justin Riak. I hope I didn't mispronounce it.
That's a good list.
Yeah,
and that's it. That's everyone. That's everyone that's on it.
Yeah, that's everyone that's on it.
That's good.
Yeah, and that's all I'll be doing there, other than hanging out with all the champions. Liam, myself, Allan, Steph. Who else is going to be there with us? I mean, Jesse, obviously, Mike's Pavlak. We could shout out for hours, but
yeah, we could. It's a long story.
We'll be obviously trying to cover these with podcasts too, by the way. This is what we were talking about. All these great people there. We'll be trying to set up interviews with them if we possibly can. So,
right.
And then so that's it for what I was going to do there. So what are you going to be handling up at Power Up 19?
So my 4 sessions, I did this, my first session is on the Sunday. It's called Intro to Git. I actually did it in Common Europe last year, which was in Poland. It went really good. It's a really good session, technical detail, not, tied to any specific operating system, but it goes about how to install it on I, but it's mostly about actually how to use it if you're new to it. Very technical. Monday, Modern ILE DevOps, which was the same ILE DevOps session that I give as Summit. Tuesday is the same, extending RPG of DB2 for I functions. Again, my most popular session of them all. And then I actually am doing an IO editor session on the last day as well. So fairly easy guide, and I'm sure there'll be I'll be around the expo doing stuff and whatnot, and that's how it goes. It's a good simple outline for me, which is nice. Yeah.
Sweet. You don't have any dates set up yet?
Good point. No, I don't. Not right now. I don't.
Yeah, I need to schedule some like lunches with Jesse and stuff and everything.
Oh God. Oh. That's already too formal. I'm kidding. I'll figure it out. Usually, like Common, like last year, it was mostly like a blur. Like I got there and I'm tired and that's
why I like to schedule things, because then it's not as much of a blur because I know it's going to be happening already.
I'm just tired. I eat like 2 meals a day, which is fine, but they're very spread out. Like I usually miss breakfast and
I mean I eat 1 meal a day. But anyway, we're tangenting.
Yeah. Sorry, we are.
So any other conferences? Do you want to cover any other ones, or do you want to move on?
I mean, I'll shout Common Europe. I did submit sessions. None of them have been announced yet, so I don't even know if I've got a single session.
Little hint.
That wasn't a hint, but I would like. It's in Berlin this year.
Ooh.
In June. I've not been to Berlin before, but Germany's a very lovely country, and I
Right.
would love to be back.
Mhm.
So hopefully that'll be a thing. And
All right. Well,
that's it. That's it. How exciting! Lots of conferences. Actually, that's a lot. We just said free. So
right. So I
it's a lot of
think
work.
that wraps up the news section, and we've covered all the rest. So we can
Yep.
go on out. Well, this concludes, I guess, episode 1 introductions of IBM Bi-Weekly. Liam, do you have anything else you would like to say before I close us out?
That's a good question. No, I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. And don't forget, any questions or hints or feedback that you have, we are very open to criticism. Constructive criticism would be fantastic. Again, Twitter. At least for me, best place is Twitter. My DMs are open, and the Facebook page too. I know that there's quite a large audience on the IBMI Facebook pages, so you can get me on that too. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be exciting.
Great.
So
Yeah, I'm excited for the future too. So
yeah,
that'll wrap it up. And you can find us at, again, ibmiweekly.com. Our social networks will be linked there. You'll find the other links to everything else there. So check us out. Please subscribe and support us so that we can hopefully grow and help out the community as much as we can. And
yep.
thanks.